Welcome to the spot. It's time to ignite. Oh yeah. Operation Hangout. The feeling's just right. Chilling with the crew. We're ready to groove. Opinions flying high. Come on, let's move. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Pull up a chair, let's get in the zone. Voices blending smooth like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Living loud, think it proud, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out, all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
What is going on, everybody? We're back at it with another stream, another live. You know where you're at. You're at Spartan Institute Network. I'm your host, the Spartan, aka Peter. How is everybody doing tonight? I love how I started the stream. My computer's glitching up on me. But anyway, so tonight we're going to have a conversation about two rivals, two humongous rivals, Nintendo versus PlayStation. I used to be a huge Nintendo person. I'm still am. But I'm a bigger PlayStation fan now at this point because they have better exclusives, in my opinion, better gaming, better everything. So that's why I am so more towards the PlayStation versus Nintendo. But before we get into the conversation, let's get these guys in here. Let's get our UK brother in here first from the UK.
Well, stop. Thank you.
You love that dance, bro. And of
Dude, my
course,
back is killing me.
with no ado, no, I don't need to give him a big speech. We are talking about our president. Please rise for our president, gentlemen.
Ow. Put myself in. I want that cup, Paul. I want that cup.
You're on mute, by the way, Paul.
You're supposed to play the music through the entire unveil. So this is
okay. Here you go. Here you go.
Wow.
Cheers.
I want that cup.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are the prototypes of our cups that will be coming out very soon. So please stay tuned. The team got the first round of it for Christmas presents. So I need to get yours. So Greg, don't worry, yours is on the prototype table.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you certainly for the cups. I should say I got two of these, and so really appreciate the thoughtfulness. Although I was expecting this to be gold in here, like lined in 14
Okay,
karat
Mr.
gold.
Trump.
I just love it. I just love gold. That it has to be everywhere. So I just want this to be lined in gold. It'd be just beautiful. It'd be awesome.
So you do know one was for you and one for your wife, so you know.
Well, she's the queen, so I'm the president, but she's the queen here. So
Hey, I put Mrs. President on the second one.
there you go.
She's the boss of the president.
But seriously, guys, like PlayStation and Nintendo. Let's start with Greg. What's your opinion?
I'm more of a PC guy, but PlayStation, I prefer the very first one.
Okay.
I prefer the original consoles, like the Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, them type of consoles. They were brilliant for their time. I admit, PlayStation and Nintendo, they've come a long way over the years. Graphics much better process power, more storage, more RAM.
Right.
You can actually install the games directly onto the device instead of having CDs.
Or memory cards.
Yeah. But yeah, as I said, I'm old school. I prefer the old stuff and that.
I will get into that in a second. I want to get Paul a quick opinion here. Go ahead. I know you didn't get a chance to play PlayStation, right? That was
Well, if Craig is old, then I'm ancient.
ancient.
Yeah,
No, relic.
because honestly, my only main PlayStation Nintendo experience is the original NES that came out in 84, 85. So spent many a night at Eric's house. Shout out to Eric in the chat tonight, playing a variety of games on the NES. Then we moved to Sega Genesis. After that, I really haven't owned a console. In fact, the last console that I owned was an Atari 5200 back in the earlier 82, 83 into 84, So again, as far as the wars that's going on, I know Xbox has basically stepped off the stage. It seems like it's a two console race now. But I will give credit to Nintendo because for the longest time, their Wii, a lot of people downed it or said it was for kids. It was, the platform. And they didn't come up with a ton of changes as far as the, CPU and all that. It's stayed basically the same console for almost like 10 years. I mean, it was just like the same thing. A lot of kids' games, the graphics were relatively kiddish. Whereas, PlayStation always had, especially when it came to sports games, EA Sports, a lot of those games were, so again, the PlayStation was meant to be more of the mature platform, but I give credit to Nintendo for, maintaining the Wii, even though it got panned by a lot of people, a lot of, I would say, bougie gamers. Didn't give the Wii a lot of love, and now I guess they got the Nintendo Switch right now. It's a
Switch 2 just came out about
Switch
a year
2.
ago, I want to say.
Right, so give them credit. They stuck to their guns. They stayed in their niche, and they're still hanging out at all those console wars. I go back again to the early '80s when you had well over a dozen different consoles of from all different types of manufacturers, where even the manufacturers are not in business anymore. And so for Nintendo to still, they got good with, their properties. And I know a few months ago that I think the programmer for Mario, I think you had announced that that guy had passed.
Yes, the designer of Mario. I can't remember his name off my head right now.
Right.
He passed away recently.
Right.
Very tragic. We lost a legend in the game industry. But I want to correct one thing really fast, Paul. Xbox is still in the game very hard.
Right, but it's not. But it's like it's a two. I said it's like it's a 2-person race. I didn't say they were out of business, but it's basically it's like it's a 2-system race at this point. Xbox is like the distant third.
Not really, because Xbox bought Activision, that one of the biggest gaming platforms out there right now, because they make Call of Duty, for example. They make Doom. They bought them, so they're not really out of the game yet.
Didn't say that, but
You know,
I get
I
what
know
you're
you
saying.
didn't. I'm saying that. There rumors are going around right now. They might come out with one or more two systems. They just released their handheld version of the Xbox, with the company who makes the Steam Deck. And what is going to be happening? They're saying there might be, because the thing people don't understand about gaming companies, they don't make money off the systems. They make the money off the games.
Sure, it's like going to the
So
movies, right?
exactly.
You don't make the
So
money off the movie.
what there's a rumor, it's only a rumor, so it's not official. They're eventually maybe making out one or two more systems if we're lucky to. Let's say two for argument's sake. Eventually they're going to do what Sega did, is just do gamings.
Mhm.
So that is the rumor right now. So a little backstory on a Nintendo and the PlayStation. Nintendo approached PlayStation years ago, before the 64 came out. They were going to partner up, and they made a prototype. And the prototype was a CD version of a Nintendo before the GameCube came out. That was the first CD version. And as they were working on the prototype, they went behind their backs and went to, I believe it was LG, I'm not mistaken, and they made the 64 instead. I might be wrong on the company. And so PlayStation was like, yo, what the fuck? And they were a little upset about that. Like, you know what? If you're going to do that behind our backs, we're going to do one you better, because we already have the prototype already designed. We put so much R&D in it. We're just going to make our own systems, except wasting all that money. Let's do it. And that's how the PS1 was born.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's it's oftentimes like successes just come down to like one or two decisions. You
Mhm.
could go one way or the other, but they decide to make a move, and sort of they say the rest is the rest is history. But I wanted, I guess you guys can educate me a bit more. So like I said, I'm going to be probably like this at the least in this conversation, but I just want to kind of get some input. So again, when you were, so so you had the Nintendo NES, then you had, I think, the 64 came
No,
out.
how it was the original Nintendo was NES, or most people call it the Nintendo Entertainment System, was originally
Right.
called. Then
Correct.
just Super Nintendo came out after that,
Super Nintendo, then this.
and then Nintendo 64 or the N64, either one is fine.
Mhm.
Then people really downplayed the system. It was actually a very good system.
Mhm.
Was the GameCube. But,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
wasn't very popular at the
Yeah.
time, but it's more popular now than ever. People really realize how
Really?
much power. Oh yeah, that machine had some power behind it.
Mhm.
And the nice thing about it, they had what's called mini discs. It wasn't a full CD. It was like a mini. Like, you ever seen those like Star Trek mini discs they
Yeah.
have?
Yeah.
Just like the sounds. The reason it did that was less people could
You want about Nintendo 64? Oh, sorry, the
GameCube.
Nintendo Cube.
Yes.
Hey,
The reason they
sorry.
did that was less chance of counterfeits coming out. That was the biggest
Right.
reason.
Yeah.
Then the Wii came out. They were pretty decent. The Wii at
So
first.
you say it flopped. It's probably it's one of the
No, wait.
longest.
I corrected myself. I did not say that. What I was going to say was the Wii did really well. The Wii U flopped completely.
Yeah.
The second
Yeah.
system, because people got bored of they felt it was like this add-on. It wasn't really updated as well. But that was a prototype. People don't want to say this, but the truth is there was a prototype for the Switch, because it was a handheld, but you couldn't go away from the system too far.
Mhm. But also, were they the first console to allow for not only uh I guess network game, like gaming with multiple people, or at least going into a place where you could get games like downloads or whatnot? I mean, wasn't Wii U a
No, actually, it was the PlayStation.
okay? Like I said, I'm just asking.
Yeah,
Okay.
PlayStation and Xbox was the first two ones that you would go online and play and everything, because they had the adapter in the back. You can go online. Or I believe, if my memory works for once, it was the PS2 and the Xbox, or Xbox 360, I think it was.
Mhm. Mhm.
So after the Wii U came the Switch One, that one of the best systems to date. they
Mhm.
call it for
That's a
Nintendo side of it.
and that's a handheld.
Both actually. Reason it's called a Switch. It's you can play console mode on TV or on the go.
Okay, and everything is basically the same
Yes, but they
experience.
also came out with multiple versions.
Mhm.
The light version, so a Nintendo Switch Lite, is only handheld mode
Okay.
versus it's a little cheaper for it's more for kids, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, there were a lot of issues with the system, believe it or not, like a drift stick, controllers weren't working, all this stuff. Because
Mhm.
originally, when they designed it for kids. Nintendo's always gravitated towards
Yeah,
kids
yeah,
more,
yeah, yeah.
and it was always issues with controller. That's why the Pro controller came out for adults, and it worked really well. Now with the Switch 2, they fixed a lot of those issues, except sliding the controllers on, they are magnetized now. There's also a light on it or a sensor that you can turn the controller. Pretend this is let me grab something. Pretend this is a controller and it slides on like snaps on for the Wii
Yeah.
1 or the
Right.
Wii 2. You
Right.
can put it sideways and act like a mouse and use it just like a mouse and to navigate. It's a really fascinating system
Mhm.
versus PlayStation now. PlayStation had a PS1 or PlayStation 1 was very basic system at first. They had what called black discs. Black discs were, you know how the CDs are silver in the back?
Yeah.
They were black for less counterfeit. That was
Mhm.
the issue with it.
Right.
They had memory
That's good.
cards, of course. And they one thing they were really good at is every time they worked on a new controller, they evolved it to make it better. Then the PS2 came out with the DualShock 3, and it was some people said one of the best PS systems ever made.
Mhm.
Um, I'll agree with that statement. Then the PS3 came out. The PS2 was the first one that was online, but it wasn't wireless. You had to hook it hardwired. That's the only
Mhm.
bad it. Now PS3, that's where all the online gaming exploded with the Xbox 360, the Nintendo Switch, and the PlayStation 3.
Mhm.
So people calling that the best system ever made because it was so much coming down our throats. We had Black Ops 2 coming out, Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 2. I want to Call of Duty example. Then you had Metal Gear, then you had Splinter Cell. You had so many games coming out at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, did it get to a point where? Because I know obviously Nintendo has their own IPs, right?
correct.
That are going to be made exclusively for that system. But I know a lot of games that came out, especially the sports games, EA Sports and whatnot, they would
Mhm.
port to like every console. So again, from your experience playing, because I'm assuming you guys have played on multiple consoles. Your
I have.
Right. So playing a game or the gaming experience on one console versus another for the same game.
Mhm.
Have you had that experience and were
Yes.
they comparable or was one better? I know controllers is a big thing. So which system had the better controllers? What I guess gaming experience was better for you? Same game, two different consoles, but again, some games are jerky, bugs and things like that. And it may not be the cleanest port, on that system. So what was a more favorable experience for you guys given
I'll go
that
first on
scenario?
this one. I'll use one for example. Was Devil May Cry 4. I didn't have a PS3 yet at the time. I only had an Xbox 360. So the Xbox 360 had a major design flaw. Is the power source? They called it what was it? It was called Red Death Eye or some shit like that. I can't remember what it's called. So a Ring of Death is called when your
Okay.
system had a Ring of Death,
Red ring.
and your system just got fried. I was lucky enough to never experience that. I seen it happen multiple times.
I have.
Oh, I feel sorry for you.
The only problem was it overheated. I had to
Oh, it was a
re-put-
heating system. I thought it was a power system problem.
No, heating. It was
Okay.
a heating system problem.
So, by that said, I played it. I enjoyed the game still. It wasn't a bad game. Graphics were up to par. But the controller for me, because it wasn't awkward, it felt pretty comfortable overall. But I was so used to where the buttons were on the PlayStation. Excuse me,
Right.
not PlayStation. I know where X is, where O, triangle, and square, R1, R2, R3, and so on and so on.
Mhm.
Now, uh, Xbox has a different layout. Same thing with Nintendo. They have a different layout. Now, I can't count Nintendo in this conversation for a minute, but PlayStation and Xbox are very similar because they have a lot of similar games on there. So what for me is R1 is LR, for example,
Mhm.
and so on and so on. That throws me off every single time.
Right.
I have this debate with CQ all the time. He's a hardcore Xbox fan. He loves Xbox, and that's a different show, Greg. But I'm a hardcore PlayStation because reason is PlayStation for me. What I kind of games I play, they have more exclusives. What I like versus Xbox does not.
Mhm.
So
Right.
does that break it down for you pretty well?
It does. It does. Because again, when you talk about what goes into your calculus in terms of what to buy. So let's just say 2026 and somebody wants to buy a console. Now again, I think a lot at least back in my time, it used to be what your interest was. If you were into sporting games, you went to certain consoles like PS2 for sports games. That was a much better console than like obviously a Nintendo Wii or Xbox system or what have you. If you have children, certainly the Wii system may be better because also you have the interactive the controller where you can kind of do movements, play tennis and things of that nature. So what goes into the calculus you would think today as far as people when they choose what system to get? I mean, at this point, CPU really shouldn't be a problem, right? Because all these are pretty high end
So
PCs, so to speak, in terms of processing power and whatnot. So what's the calculus now that people consider when they decide to spend? And I'm assuming all these consoles are relatively around the same price point, about $400-500.
Upgradability.
not really. They're pretty
Okay.
different prices, actually, believe it or not.
Okay.
So actually, before we move to that question, Greg, do you want to answer the earlier question where Paul asked about playing on different consoles? Did you have a different experience than I did?
I didn't have much of a different experience. It's the same basically. I've
Is
played
it? Okay.
Metal Gear Solid across platforms, PC, Xbox. I've never actually played on the PS5. To be
Gotcha.
honest, not a PS5.
Like I said, and I would assume that difference probably got small over the years, but I remember again early on, you would have different
Gears
ports
of
of
War.
games going to these older systems, like the NES time. I think you still had ColecoVision out. You had NES. Then you had Sega Genesis and Graphic 16. So you would notice the differences because again, you had the issue of memory and storage and RAM. So again, how you program the game to take advantage or to get the most out of the 16-bit at that time or 32-bit or 8-bit or whatever mattered. And there was clearly different ports, even though it's the same game in theory.
Yeah.
The gameplay would be different because again, it all depends on how much you invested into getting the most out of that system's limited resources. Now, I would think in this time, you're not talking in bits, you're talking about in megabytes or gigabytes at this point.
Gigabytes.
So I
yeah.
don't know if it
The best
necessarily
way I can answer
matters
that question.
what
So
so I
best
would
way,
think those would be different.
Nintendo is a different category versus Xbox and PlayStation. Xbox and PlayStation specs wise, they're very, very similar. It's a very small details that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's go with prices for a second. PlayStation, I'm not going to go over the pro systems. I'm just going over the regular system, the disc version and digital. The disc version, what I own is a the 1 terabyte plus I extended it with the extender memory. And I'm not even counting memory. Just the regular price is $549, and the digital version is where is it? 464. Now Xbox Series X is the big kahuna. It literally looked like a tower. They built it like a computer. They designed it. It's $599. The digital is $429. So price wise is very minor difference we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hardware super tight, very small. Excuse me. So we're not looking into like 64 megabytes versus 24 megabytes. We're talking about like not even like one less than a micro megabyte.
Yeah.
Like that's how small the date that is now.
Right.
Graphics are the same. it's preference. It comes down to preference. Now, category. What are you buying it for? Are you buying for yourself or for the family? That's key number one. I'm going to ask somebody.
Okay.
So in your case, you're a father. You're going to probably say for the family.
Right. Certainly when the kid's growing up, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
If I was going to buy one now, it'd probably be for me if I chose it. But I get so much just from game apps on my phone or whatever or computer PC
I
games.
understand that.
So that would be but
It is a different experience when you're actually playing on that. It's the gaming on apps are one different category versus what you're playing on the system.
Yeah.
So as a father, depends on the age group. That's number one I have to ask. What age group is your kids at the time? I would, if they're younger, like under 12, I would tell you go towards a Nintendo right away. I wouldn't even tell you to look at a PlayStation. Go to Nintendo because that's where more PG games are rated for kids. You have Mario, you have Donkey Kong, you have Zelda, and so on and so on. You don't have too much gory games on the Nintendo as much.
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
I'm sorry?
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
That's another example. We got Spyro the Dragon and all this stuff. I think Spyro's a PlayStation actually IP. But my point is trying to get is more gravitate for kids, for younger kids. Now, if they're 12 and up, I'll ask you that how their maturity level is, first of all, because you do have a lot of games. You have Call of Duty, that is one of the most popular games right now out in the market. You have Assassin's Creed, one of my favorite games because I even have a tattoo of their logo. That's how much I love Assassin's Creed. And you will actually love that game, Paul, because it's a very historical driven game. Your book, is you're going back in time. You're playing as your ancestor, and you're going through the timeline.
Right. Now, it's Call of Duty. Is that still because when it first came out, it was basically wrapped in like World War II. So
not anymore.
Okay,
it has gone away from that. And that you're talking about the golden age of Call of Duty back then. You were talking about World War II, Vietnam era, and a little modern era too. They were going back and forth they did a 4-year cycle at first, and it got to the point now is they lost their identity, and then people are complaining right and left, like what the fuck is going on with Call of Duty? Like this Black Ops 6, I believe it's 6, the new one that just came out. It was supposed to be the sequel of Black Ops 2, the best Call of Duty game ever made. And it's already been on discount. It's only been out for a month and a half, maybe 2 months now. Tells you there, like, what the fuck happened. So with the play, so it depends on the age group. Now, as they get older, are they going to be sharing the system? Are they going to be only for one person? There's a lot of questions behind that.
Right. And now, also, I would think today with, again, the power that you talk about terabytes now, where, like I said, I grew up 8-bit or less when I was there when all the stuff got started, growing up when the stuff got started. So I guess I guess if you get one, is there really a need to upgrade? Like, like I said, especially in the 80s when you were coming out with different systems all the time, you might have got the Atari 2600. Well, then the 5200 came out. You got that. And then the 7200 came out and you got that. So again, that was like the 8-bit era. Then the 16-bit era came out and you got those, and then you got the 32s and 64s and so on and so forth. So again, what is, you think, the shelf life? And again, like I said, the Wii system was out for a lot of years with no changes, but it did relatively well in that time. Like I said, even though a lot of people may have panned the system, but they were a hit with families and whatnot. You had the mom and the dad playing tennis with their kids and stuff like that. I mean, it worked.
I'll give you an example.
They had all these different I guess the sport package that they gave you. So if you buy one of these systems, what is the likelihood that, okay, you think, okay, you know what, I'll switch over to, if you buy an Xbox, I'll switch over to PlayStation, or I'll switch over to Nintendo or whatever. What is the likelihood of you, once you invest in, I would think you're going to be invested for quite some time without any thought of, so it's like you got to choose, and you're not going to have that necessarily ability, or why would you spend another $1,000 trying to get extra systems when, you're pretty much going to cash your lot with one.
So to buy two systems is, I would say Xbox versus PlayStation is waste of money. I'll say right now. But if you're buying a PlayStation or Nintendo, that's a different story now. It could be
Okay.
worth your money.
Okay.
If I answer your question.
Yeah.
What about you, Greg? Any info on this?
I would stick with the PlayStation, not Nintendo, personally.
Right.
Better graphics, better processing power, a lot more. You can upgrade the PS5, something chronic. You can upgrade the housing. You can upgrade the memory. That's basically as far as I can think about on it.
Mhm.
But the games on it, you can go discless. You can put discs in. Literally,
So you still think there's a graphics difference, even with these? I don't know what even generation you would call these 10th, 11th, 12th generation. I don't know what generation you're on in terms of video games at this point.
I think we're on 6th generation. If I'm mistaken.
Sixth generation. Even then, you're still seeing discernible differences in graphic quality over.
yeah, you would. It's all to do with how the console's set up.
Mhm.
If you set it up for 4K or full HD, you can notice a difference in the game completely.
Mhm.
No matter how pixelated
Yes and
it
no,
is,
Greg.
no
So I'm
matter
gonna
how
say
much pixelated it is, it's got a little converter built into the console where it tries to smooth it out. It's got a little mini AI chip in it where it actually tries to smooth the game out. Do you know what I mean?
So Greg has a good point there. Okay, so when you put on a PlayStation, if you have like a 4K like mine is right now,
Mhm.
it's gonna pick it up automatically. It kind of calculates it for you. Now let's go back to the timeline you're asking. All right, let's go for the PS4. PS4 was released at November 5th of 2013. All right, and it was still going strong till 2020 was the PS5. So do the math. How many years?
Yeah. 6 years.
So in the meantime, they also released the Pro Edition in the middle of that had 1 terabyte, I think it was, some shit like that. Excuse me. So it was the PS4 still has some games released to this day, but not a lot of games. What they did really smart with the PS4 from the PS3 to PS4, they were releasing games for both systems, and they do that to this day. The PS5, PS4, and most of the PS systems, there's one good thing about them is backwards compatibility.
Compatibility. Yeah.
Meaning I can play PS1, PS2. Not all of them did it. Like I think it was the PS3 didn't do that for the first round of them.
The 2-in-1. Right.
Yeah, then later it came in.
Well, it was a different technology. So do they all have the same kind of common disc technology, or can you play through the online experience?
Really depends what you're talking about.
Online.
Yeah,
You can
it's
play it.
some's online, some are not. Like you could PS3, the later generation ones, you could just pop this in and call it a day. It wasn't the lens. The problem is the processor. It couldn't pick it up. The OS, in other words, if you want to put it that way,
Right.
Simpler terms.
Right.
Now, with today's systems, with the disk drive, I have a disk drive of mine. I didn't want a disk drive originally. The only reason I got a disk drive because if you remember during the pandemic, PlayStations and Xbox were nearly impossible to get on your hands. The people were buying them and selling them for $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. I'm like, get the fuck out of here! I'm not paying $2,000 for a system that is only worth $500. How much did I say to PS?
They're called scalpers.
Yeah, they were ridiculous, and the bot systems that we're using, you couldn't even buy them. It got to the point they were so bad. Best Buy, for example, you could do a membership with them, and you were first in line to buy something. Like you can so I gotta pay $100 for a membership plus whatever that is. You can go fuck yourselves. I went to myself.
Right.
So I signed up for the PlayStation store thing, and I was in a newsletter and everything. So they sent me an email when my turn came up, and I did. I was at work, actually. I remember this. It was yesterday. I literally used to be running out of my kitchen, running to the lock, grab my fucking water. I had all my water. I popped my credit card. I'm sitting there trying to type fast as I can before I lose my line because you're in the queue. And the only thing I was available was the disc version. I haven't even turned it I haven't popped the disc in yet once.
Right. Now
and I have it for 4 years already.
Gotcha. All right, now talk about this is going to be relatively new for me because again, so I know you have the option to buy discs versus I get an online. I guess it's a subscription, and when you do, are you limited in terms of titles you can download or whatever? How does how do you make the call between buying the discs and having the digital or the downloads, and what do you get
So
with the download? So if you
that
break
is
that
a
down.
multiple answer question. Okay. So download is a convenient thing, number one. All right. So except going to Best GameStop or Best Buy, nobody
Mm.
goes to GameStop. If you heard, GameStop is struggling extremely bad.
Yeah, I'm still surprised they're still in business, especially during.
I'm surprised. The only reason
yeah.
they're in business is because they're trying different models. They keep changing their models. Like they went to we buy anything. I mean, you could even bring lotion in, a used bottle of lotion, and they will buy it. That's how desperate they are for business.
Wow.
And so nobody's buying used games anymore because you can buy them online for fraction of price.
Right.
They have sales all the time on PlayStation Network
Right.
and the Xbox Store.
Right.
So I pre-order my games like I always did. I always pre-order them because I felt about when the disc thing was so huge. I used to play my games, trade them in, take that credit, and because I had also the Pro card, the membership for GameStop, I get a little extra credit. I put it on the next game, and I'll buy the next one. I just keep adding credit to the next game.
Mhm.
Except paying $50, I may pay 20 only or 15. I never paid over 20 because I always traded them in. The only game I kept over years was Call of Duty because I play online a little bit on that. Now, in 2025, 2026, you do not need to go to a store. Nobody wants to go to a store. I don't know anybody who buys physical gaming anymore. It's
Mhm.
rare. The
Yeah.
only physical gaming you need to buy is for the Switch because they come with like a little. I can pop them out. I actually have my Switch over here. It's like little chips, like microchips,
Yeah.
and you put it in the back, and that's the game. They're the only one that still does the whole cartridge thing.
I still buy games offline.
That's what I'm saying. You physical or digital?
Physical.
Really? For which system?
PS1,
That's
PlayStation
different.
3.
That's different. I'm talking about the newer stuff. I mean, talking about like PS5.
Well, I don't own a
Xbox X.
PS5, though.
I understand that, but if you owned one, would you still go to the store and buy it?
No.
Thank you. So here's the other catch 22 now. Once you put it under your account, you own that game.
No. You
Yes.
don't.
Yes.
Not
I'm gonna tell you why. Yes, in a minute. And I know where you're going with this. If they lose the license for the IP, technically you don't own it. But PlayStation has already put out a letterhead out saying if they are not licensed to use the IP anymore, you cannot buy the IP. Let's say Greg doesn't own the IP, he can buy it later on. I can't. So the nice thing about digital, I can go from system to system to system and still download. I can go from PS5 to PS6 and still have my games.
Mhm.
Versus all these discs. And like, where the fuck am I gonna pull these discs up my ass?
Right.
So
And what's the market for it? Like, I know you talk about GameStop. You can go and trade stuff in, but
Mhm.
what's the preponderance of like just selling on eBay or?
You can sit there
just
for a
like-
while. It
Yeah.
takes a long time.
Does it?
So the only games you can sell these days that make some money, and because I do it myself a little bit on the side, because I'm a collector, not only a gamer, I'm also a collector of the old systems,
Mhm.
and I have showed them on camera before. I have my Super Nintendo and so on. The retro stuff sells very, very well. You're going to make some money off it.
Crash Bandicoot for several hundred, for instance.
Great
Wow.
example.
Wow.
Yeah, with the box. Because I'm a kind of collector. I don't really care. I like the boxes, but I don't have the room for the boxes.
Mhm.
I only care about the games because I
Mhm.
will plug it on my 85-inch. I have a little converter that I bought on PlayStation for $20, and it will convert from the the three
It
prong.
upscales.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It upscales that little converter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also because my TV doesn't have the three prong system anymore.
Yeah.
It
As
converts
it
to
goes
it.
to
Yeah.
HDMI.
Composite or component. Setup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this works great for me.
Mhm.
When I buy games, it's for my pleasure. When I sell them, sometimes I might be at a thrift store or some kind of garage sale, and I see a game. Oh, they have 3 of those same copies.
Right.
I know I can make some money off that now. I
Right.
go to my local White Dragon Comic Store is a retro comic book store.
Right.
His name's funny enough is Pete also,
Mhm.
and I do a lot of business with Pete.
Right.
And I tell Pete all the time, I'm like, yo, I bring you shit. You better take care of me. And he always take care of me. I can't deny that.
Right. Now, there's got to be a cutoff too in terms of how far you want to go back, right? Because once you start getting back into the cartridge era, you don't know, especially if you're buying all on eBay or what, you don't know if the cartridge is still good, if they'll skip when you put it in.
Okay, so that's the easy question to answer. So I don't like buying anything off eBay. The reason is you're playing or get a big gamble. I have both things off Facebook Market, and the system was trashed. I couldn't even use it.
Right.
I end up selling it online to somebody else. It'll be somebody else's problem. I
Mm-hmm.
actually sold for DK Oldies. Don't recommend buying there. I do
I
recommend.
think I've heard of them. Yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not great as consumer, but they're great for buying. They'll buy anything because they say they're gonna retro fix it. But I buy all my stuff from my local comic book store. All right. And Pete has a guy who refurbishes everything for him.
Mhm.
So he takes it apart. He changes the, they're a little like, those batteries that you put in the watches back in the day?
Yes.
That's what the games have.
Mm.
But they don't take that much juice so they can they can last forever almost.
Right.
Sometimes the thermal paste needs to get replaced. It's
Right.
minor details you have to
Right.
change.
Now I
And there
know
are
some of the
you can do online.
now I know some of the older game systems as well. I know they're offering packages now where it's like the original NES or the Sega Genesis. Like you'll get this one small, very small console that has every game in the library on it. Again, so it's like the same.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The
So
CPU will run it, but it's like you buy one. If I wanted all the classic Atari 2600 games or the, like I said, Sega Genesis games, is you buy this small box, and the small box has 200 games on it from the old, library. So you don't have to buy, the retro if you're just interested in gaming. Now collecting, I get it if you want to be a collector, but if you just want the experience, if I want to go back in time to the late 80s, early 90s, and just wanted to ball, that there's a lot of these systems that are buying, and they're not very expensive. Like for less than $100, like $80, you could buy this, port and then play these games. So it's yeah.
So I'm going to answer this in two different ways. Nintendo came out with a classic edition for a while. It was a collector thing. It had the top 10 or 20 best games ever made. Super Mario, Zelda, Mega Man, and yada, yada, yada. The Nintendo was $50. The class and the Super Nintendo was 100. I scooped them up. So now, if you're going to try to buy them now that they've been discontinued, they never make, it's $186.
So it's
Double the price.
Yeah.
Now, going to what you said originally with the retro systems, they have what's called the G350 retro gaming console. There are a bunch of these systems out there. They're pretty much a little box, pretty much like the PCU. You can download games, not download. I don't recommend anybody downloading. If you don't own the games, it's technically illegal still.
Yeah.
So I just want to put that at the closure. So by saying that, you can buy them for $50-$60. Some, if you want to get a little more fancier ones,
Right.
100, 150 max.
Yeah.
200 is really pushing for a really good one.
Yeah.
So before we move on, I wanted to do one little thing before. And I want to drop the link in the chat. Whoever wants to join us, please do. And the rules are engagement. Where are they? Here they are very simple, guys. I don't ask a lot. No personal attack, no issues, no offensive language, except if I'm talking. No racial slur, racism, and all that, sexual stuff, and all that stuff. And if you'd like to join the stream, I'm just asking one little thing. Make sure your camera's on. Make sure you're not smoking on camera. Make sure you're not eating. Dress appropriately, and make sure your mic on so we can hear you guys. So the link is in the chat. If you'd like to join us, please do, guys. All right, go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry I cut you off.
Forgot what I was saying. Yeah, I'm familiar with the kind of system that you have now. Again, like I said, I'm so old school. I am a classic arcade gamer. So I know that there have been ports. I know MAME, MAME, they have a game emulator, and
Space Invaders.
there are these ROMs that you can get, and it's literally it's the gameplay of the arcade game. I mean, it's so like I was a big Galaga fan, Centipede. You name the old stews. Going to the arcade, you have
Space
these
Invaders.
consoles and start up. Yeah, Space.
Street
The
Fighter.
original Star Wars game, the vector graphics Star Wars games. Like those are my those are my
The
favorite.
golden age for you.
Yeah, definitely. So I can certainly relate to having that experience, being able to get these
Sorry,
get these
Pac-Man.
titles. Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, yeah, all of those classic titles, and it's exactly the same. Like the sound, the graphics, everything is as what it was. So I'm definitely vintage in that way.
You watched the movie Pixels?
I didn't watch all of it, but I do. I am
So
familiar.
I'll
with
give you an
it.
example, Paul. For a Pac-Man arcade machine, a full stand retro, not the original, obviously. I'm talking about something you can buy today. All right.
Mhm.
Not like a refurbished. You can buy and put yourself
It's a-
together.
well, you actually put the quarters in, right? The
Yeah.
25 cents,
You,
50 cents quarters.
you don't have to put quarters. That's the only nice thing about it.
Right.
But it's literally a screen. It works exactly the same way. It varies from 300 up to 600. Depends how
Right.
fancy
But
you
generally, those consoles, because I've seen some, even Costco sold them, but they'll have like multiple games. They'll have like 20, 25 games in there. I mean, it won't be just the one standalone console. I mean, they want to make sure you get,
You know you can
This
build
is
them.
supposed to
don't
be
you?
a replica of the classic.
correct.
That's what I'm looking at online right
Yeah.
now. We're not
Oh,
talking about
Build
just
them, don't you?
the stuff you see at Costco or other stores. I see
You're
them all
saying
the
the
time.
full, so you're talking about the full standing console, not just
Yes,
something
it's
you put on
6
your
foot.
table.
It's actually a 5 foot tall, full size stand up arcade system.
Hmm.
So, and I'm not mistaken, the Pac-Man only when you played it back then, it was only one game, right?
Some did Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man on there at the same time. Some had a Miss Pac-Man and Galaga porting. So it all depends. If the gaming, if it was like Bally Midway or one of those or Williams Electronics, sometimes you could get 2 for 1 on the same platform, and it would give you a choice of which option you wanted.
So the 500 one I'm looking at, it's 12 games. Pac-Man, Pac-Man Plus, Pac-Mania, Pac-Land,
remember that one?
Super
Yeah.
Pac-Man, Pac and Pow, Paul Thunder, Roman Happen, Glad 88, Dino 2, and Dino 1.
Mhm.
And Golank 1 and Golub 2. I'm not sure.
Yep, I remember. Yep.
So
Yeah,
you get a good amount. You get good. But CQ has one of these systems in his house. It's decent. It's not bad for what you get for. Would I pay 600 personally? No, I wouldn't. Personally,
Right.
it's not my cup of tea. I
Right.
like relaxing on the couch, having a Pepsi or Coke or a beer, and enjoying my gaming experience.
Mhm.
Pete, you know you can build these systems yourself. All you
Yeah, of
need
course
is a
you do.
screen on a
But most
computer.
people don't have the time or the knowledge to do that. You have to understand that.
Mm.
Yeah, keep that in mind. Like same thing with my lifesavers, bro. I'm like, I could literally do the research and build one myself, but I don't have the knowledge or the research to do that all the time.
Mhm.
So this kills a lot of time and effort in there.
No question.
Yeah.
'Cause I always dreamed like, if I had like, the money, like to build my own kind of retro arcade room. So I would have like, 7, 8. Now there's places out there now. I know there's this one place in my area. It's called Yestercades, where you literally go in and it's like it's just slotted. You pay for time. So let's say if you're going to be there for an hour or 2 hours or whatever, you pay for your time, but then you can play any game that you want in that place for the time that you're there. So they have stand-up arcade consoles. They have couches in there with 80, 70, 80-inch screens where you can play. And then yes, PlayStation 2 all the way up to 5 or whatever it is. So again, they give you a lot of different environments for which to play. They even got pinball machines. People that I don't know if you guys even grew up playing pinball machines.
Oh, I play at the arcades and they're fun games.
Exactly. So I mean, so they
They're
have those in there
annoying.
as well. So that's certainly the closest thing to kind of what like I always thought like, okay, yeah, if I was gonna build my dream house, I would have a game room and would have pool tables in there, and it would have arcade games in there, and ping pong, and just for kids or whoever wants to kind of come and play and just kind of have that kind of experience.
I'm
But
gonna show this video very fast, Paul, and this is where you're talking about the retro
Mhm,
stuff. The volume will be muted because I don't want to get copy striked or anything like that.
right,
But this guy, I'm not sure how much money he dropped into this little. This is a little room, by the way. I seen rooms literally the size of your living room, and your living room is pretty
Mhm,
big. Let's be honest
mhm,
here.
mhm.
But people have dropped some serious cash making their ultimate dream retro room, gaming room, or entertainment room, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm,
This literally blew up
mhm.
during the pandemic. People didn't realize how cautious this could happen.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, guys? So link is in the chat if you want to join us, dude. So it's just the
Oh wow,
console.
he's got
I'm sorry.
everything. He's got everything, man.
Yeah, and it's the decorations. They're not expensive. I see them on Amazon. That little carpet he has for the logo.
Mhm,
I seen it for going for like $50. I think the max. They're most stuff are not too expensive.
right.
But when you're starting buying the systems, and sometimes people don't want to buy the conversion kits. They just want to buy the straight the old tube TVs.
Yeah.
I personally buy the conversion kit. To me, again, I'm a collector, but not that extreme.
Right, right, right. But even these consoles, I mean, like I know there's a lot of refurbishing that could be done, but I would have to think that it's harder to get. Like if you want like an NES system that still works and works relatively well,
Mhm.
that had mechanical parts that had remember when you put the disc in, you have to press down, and sometimes if that spring was broken or whatever, it wouldn't stay down. So again, to keep these retro systems still up and running, they're going to charge you. Like I said, there are collectibles at this point, so
Yeah,
they're
so
gonna.
it's funny you said that. It was a guy on YouTube. I'm gonna give him a quick shout out. He has 2 YouTube channels. Phoenix Resell. People give him a lot of shit because he buys for a decent price and resells things on eBay, Amazon, and some other platforms.
Mhm.
So he built up such a big clientele. He opened his own retro store, gaming retro store.
Right.
But he also has some bar and stuff too. Some PS5 and Xbox Series. He has Pokemon cards. He has a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
It's a one-stop kind of thing, like GameStop used to be.
Yeah.
So, and he said he documented the whole series experience. Well, what mistakes he made, how much money he dropped, what it takes to keep running it, what it does everyday operation. He takes a lot of it.
Mhm.
So it's not as easy as you think it is.
Mhm.
And listen, I'll be honest with you, bro. I'm like, what am I, cool dream? It's only a dream. It's never going to happen because I can't afford it. Because if the risk and reward to me is too risk
Mhm.
and not enough reward. I love
Yeah.
having my own retro gaming store.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That'd be the coolest fucking job in the world.
Retro gaming, and then there's also I've been seeing as of late. You have these retro toy guys. Like they'll take like old Star Wars ships, like the Millennium Falcon, and it'll be all
Jacked up.
tinted and whatnot. So they'll dip it in acid and they'll restore it. They'll be like pristine white. They redo the electronics in the games, and they'll really get the stickers, and they'll like really restore a lot of classic toys or electronic toys from back in the day in the 70s and 80s
How
as
many
well.
retro arcade game places do you have in the US? Because the
I
nearest
don't know.
one to me
They're-
is
I know-
Okay, it really depends. It depends where you live. So if in my area, I have about, are we talking about arcades or stores you can buy games? First of all,
No, arcades. Arcade areas.
arcades, I have about, off my head, about 4 in my area.
That's more than what
And
we've got.
I only got
now-
there's only a couple. Like I said, the Yestercade place. There's one that's about a half hour away from me. That I think they got 4 locations in New Jersey. But again, there's not many places around that you can just kind of go into an arcade and play these. And
now,
play
if you're
these
talking about New York, for example, Paul,
Mhm.
you have one a lot more in New York than up here,
yeah.
and even in New Jersey. And it depends where in New Jersey you are. Your area is a little different, but if you're talking about Newark, West Orange, North Orange,
close to the city. For sure.
City, more popular areas, you're gonna have them all over the fucking place.
Right.
And some of them actually have even a sit-down eating area too, because you're playing, you want to take a little break, you go like grab some slice of pizza wings, whatever you eat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
go back to gaming again.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I
We've
want to
got
ask you guys.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Ask your question, Greg. No.
Yeah, I'm saying we've got one, and that's about 10 miles down the road, and that's literally on Brighton Pier,
Mhm.
and that's not
In
even
your
that big.
defense, Greg, UK was never a huge.
We used to have multiple.
Europe. I'm
We
sorry.
used to have multiple. We used to have multiple. We used to have one in Brighton, had about 5 or 6 of them in Brighton. Then we had about 2 or 3 of them in Hove, right? And then one in Port Slade. And there used to be one literally down the road here, but they all died out. It's a dying breed.
Did you grow up with like stores, like I don't know what you call them in Britain, like convenience stores or cigarette stores or whatever, that would have like a gaming console in the store that kids would like go after school and play? Did you ever have anything like that?
No. But
Okay.
the one we had was it's like an old ice cream parlor, a massive cafe sort of thing in Hull. That before, I'm not going to go into politics, but someone bought it over and just renovated it and just did away with the arcade area.
Yeah.
Literally, you had the old games from the 80s and 90s in there. And personally, I think they destroyed the place.
Yeah. But that was a thing growing up. If you had a convenience store, if you had like a pizza shop, or some places like
Cafe
that,
and that sort of thing,
you
yeah,
would
so-
have, depending on the size of your spot, you would have 1 to 2 gaming consoles in there. I know me and Eric, there was a place right around the corner from our high school that we used to go, a little cigar shop or cigarettes store, and it'd be like packed. Like, no one's buying anything in the store. So the guy's like, look, how am I gonna make money?
Yeah.
They would put these, and again, you're putting 25, 50 cents in every hit or whatever. So he's making money.
There was a couple of cafes
on
in Port Slade, but not in Brighton.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example here. In Greece, Europe was never a big, huge gaming culture like we have here. All right. It is a small one, but not as big as here. Now it's a different world, obviously, down there. So what I was going to say was they have things. I don't know what exact name they called it. I'm going to, paraphrase it in my own terms. A arcade cafe, think of it, right? You can get coffee, you can smoke your cigarettes, and play games at the same time. Those were very popular when I was growing up over there.
Right. But like I said, growing up, it's like every, like I said, if you had a little mom and pop store, if you could, that was like an arcade. They had a fleet, but I'm saying, but again, if you had like a convenience store or something like that, again, you would generally make more money or as much on having a game, especially a popular. So if you had a Pac-Man machine, Miss Pac-Man, or a Gallagher or something like that, you would definitely generate a lot, because again, kids don't have a lot of spendable income or whatever. After school, you're going to come in there and get something. So again, that was just a thing. So you just kind of grew up with that.
I'll give you 2 good examples, Paul. In New York, when I lived there with my parents, right? It was a place we called Jerry's. Jerry's was a rental store, but it didn't only rent; it was sell stuff like on rental. It sold cigarettes too, newspapers, and it had a couple arcade machines there also. You could rent movies and games from there. I found out later on, as I got older, his biggest income was cigarettes, believe it or not, because he needed to make money. When the downfall of mom and pop rental stores and Blockbuster was taken off, he had to fluctuate that somewhere. I used to rent from Blockbuster, but I also went to Jerry's a lot too, because it was literally maybe 3 blocks from my house. It took me less than 3 minutes. My mom would take me there, rent something. It was half the price that Blockbuster charged back then. So the other example to that is, though that culture had changed over the years slowly, like gaming have changed, movies have changed, music. Look now. You don't see any arcade game machines. Where would you find arcades very popular? You know,
you don't. I mean, like I said, the
Tell me where right now.
is the closest thing. Where?
Laundromats. Even back then, they still have a couple arcade machines, laundry, but they're not like what you expect now. They're all beat up and barely working. And arcades. I remember mom.
It's interesting you mentioned that. Because I obviously used laundromats growing up, and I never saw a laundromat. Like I said, a pizzeria, some sort of a spot where people kind of got and sit, but I never saw one. But now I'm got me thinking. Now it's like, man, that would have been a great idea because you obviously come up with quarters, right? You need quarters for the washing machine, so you
And
get some
that's the thing.
quarters.
I saw them always because for my first beginning of my life was laundromats. But when we had our house, yes, we did a lot of our laundry in our house, but it was something like heavy duty, like a big blanket that it couldn't fit in a
Yeah.
machine. We went to the laundromat. I remember a couple of times our machine broke down. We went to the laundromat still.
Right.
So going there, I saw a lot of arcades there. And I remember going to in Brentwood, what township was it called? Bayside. Was it Bayside? Whatever it's called. It was an arcade in that mall. My mom used to keep me 20, 30, 40, whatever. You know what I'm saying? She knew she was going to be a while shopping. Just here's your money, here's your food money. You spend it, whatever. You're going to starve yourself? That's on you, kid. Not just like that. But she always,
Mhm.
you know, even if I spend my food money, she still fed me no matter what.
Mhm.
And quarters. Now
Yeah.
you don't even do quarters, bro. And like
Exactly.
I remember going to a arcade as a kid. It was a game called, ready for this? Dance Dance Evolution.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. So that game was one of the most expensive games. So the only two games I played were expensive.
Yeah,
I
because
played
by that
that
time there was like $1 a play or $2 a play.
now I know you're definitely you lost some brain cells when you lost your hair. You mean close to $3 to $5. Depends where you're playing.
Mhm.
So before Dance Dance Revolution came out, the predecessor to that was a snowboarding game called Extreme Snowboarding.
Right.
It was a little board. You get on it.
Yeah,
It was like
definitely, yeah.
$5, and you would
Mhm.
like do your thing on that. I'm like,
Mhm.
I thought it was cool. Then this came out. Arcades blew up again.
Mhm.
Before that blew up, they were putting VR machines in there just to make money because Nintendo was taking over at the time. 64 was the fucking thing. Everything was the thing. And people, like, I remember kids, saying to you know this better, or like like, I want to go to arcade. Arcade? You have a Nintendo? You have a Nintendo upstairs, 64. Why would you go to arcade? You have your own system. I'm like, Fluffy, the comedian, he explains it perfectly what I'm talking about, and on one of his kids. So, Dance Dance Revolution blew up. But what was the final stone for arcades is when they took the arcade Dance Dance Revolution out of the arcades into the home system. They put a pad.
Yep.
And
Yeah, my
that's
kids had that for the Wii. They had that for
rest
the
in
Wii.
peace.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah.
So, in your case, you grew up with a Nintendo. Let's get back on topic a little bit here, guys.
Yep. For sure.
So, Nintendo was your golden age of gaming.
For sure.
Did you play Super Nintendo any chance?
Nope. I had the like I said, the NES I played on because everyone had one, so it was almost like all your friends had one, so why buy one? You know, my roommate in college, he had an NES. We used to play Tecmo Bowl all the time, and
What
so
was the Nintendo, the one that you had to lift up the little door thing over the front and put massive cartridge in the front of it?
Nintendo, the original one.
yeah, the NES. Yeah.
Is that the first Nintendo?
Yes, the NES, also known as Nintendo Entertainment System. That was the original
Yes.
name for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the funny thing about Super Nintendo was when you had to do CPR on the goddamn thing, it was acting up on you. So you literally blow the cartridge. All right, ready? You put it in, go. You push it down, you push it down, you push it down, you push it down, you push it down. Like, okay, like CPR, like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Power, 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 power. It works!
Yeah.
Yay! And like, you literally had to do CPR on this fucking thing. And like,
Yeah.
you remember doing CPR on yours? Like, I do.
I do.
Paul, do you remember doing CPR on yours?
No, like I said, I never owned one, so I didn't.
Do you remember
do
doing
that
CPR on your friends' machines?
I do recall, certainly that happening. Now, again, the thing you had to be mindful of, and this is again in the sporting era, be careful who you invite over, because in
fist
the
might break
super or your game console might get smashed. If you're playing Tecmo and you're losing, consoles somehow get knocked over, controllers get smashed against the wall.
I got one for you. Hang on.
Whatever. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, people were fanatical back then, especially with Tecmo in the college dorms, whatnot. Some of these guys were paying for money, no question, and it got uber competitive, and fights
So,
would
I got
sometimes
two
break
things for you
out
right
and
now.
whatnot. So yeah,
So I got two things
It's
for
all
you.
with it.
So you're right about that. It was literally, I remember playing I wasn't a big gaming sports fan, but I got heated in some arguments. Like to the point, like my nose was bent to bend. We're about to go outside and fight. I'm like, I don't give a shit who you fucking are. We're going outside to fucking fight because I won that fucking game. But it's a computer. It's not like a real one.
Yeah.
What really evolutioned this Nintendo system wasn't Super Nintendo. People are wrong on that. It was a 64. You know why, Paul?
No, not a fan.
That was the only system you can put 4 controllers in and play it together.
Okay.
You always had every other system, Nintendo, PlayStation, Sega. You always had the adapter, and you get 4, 6, 7 controllers in there, but you're paying so much more money on that. So I remember playing Smash Brothers. You will love Smash Brothers. I can see you getting hooked on that game to the point your wife is gonna be like, babe, come to bed. Hang on, babe. After this game, hang on. I can see you're gonna be hooked on that. I know you.
Right.
But this is a good game. You know why? They evolutioned this game. They took all the major IPs and put it in one game. You had Mario, Princess Peach, Zelda, Link, Metroid, and you're fighting everybody. You're going head to head. Right. And the point of the game is one person has to be the winner in the end.
Gotcha.
And that was the sweet part about it.
Let me ask you guys this. Why do you think? Because again, I've after all these years, 40 plus years, I'm still a little bit puzzled by the popularity of some of these IPs from Nintendo. Like, look, I played Donkey Kong. I remember when Donkey Kong came out. That was like the first of the Mario, and he wasn't even known. He wasn't Smash Brothers, yeah. He wasn't even known in the game. Like really, it took off when the NES came out with Super Mario Brothers 2. That's when it really took off. And that soundtrack, if you play that soundtrack, that dun dun dun.
I'm gonna push back a little bit on that. I'm gonna push a little back on it. Yeah.
I'm just saying, but I don't understand. Or what do you think? Why that brand is so popular. I mean, they've had movies. How many Mario Brothers movies have been out? How many?
They had a cartoon. We're going on the third one.
They had cartoon series. They got cereal. They had Super Mario's breakfast cereal. They had it's. I don't understand the love. Like I said, I played Donkey Kong Jr. A lot of those early arcade games I played, but it just seems like on one IP, like what really made Nintendo, with all those other game titles and whatnot, the anchor they always go back to is the Mario Brothers properties. And then you got I think you said the Zelda. I think that's also another property by them. But I mean, really,
Mega Man 2.
Yeah, I mean, or Metroid.
They have a
Metroid
lot.
There's also.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
Metroid, wasn't that also there?
Yes, Metroid's okay. So my pushback is it wasn't Mario 2 that launched them to like Infinity and beyond. Was Mario Bros. 3. Most of them, I remember, this is one thing I do remember from my childhood. I remember mom like telling me in Greek, like, Pio θέλεις place it says on Nintendo, it's a Super Nintendo. She's trying to trick me, says which one you want. And I said, I want a Nintendo. It's 2 years ago. Shit, that's even better because it was on sale because the Super Nintendo was coming out. So 3 was the thing that everybody was going ape shit. You got the square shoot, you were flying out. It was evolution at the time. I'm going to read this off for a second. The top rated best Mario games ever made from top to bottom. Number 1, Super Mario Odyssey. Personally not a fan of it. Super Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2 for the Wii. 3rd place. Super Mario Bros. 3. Super Mario 64.
Okay.
So you see the trend I'm going with this right now. Yeah. You don't only have Super Mario Bros. You got Mario Kart. That was a fun game. Even now, I play the Super Nintendo version sometimes. It kind of bothers my eyes because the pixels are a little off now because of how big the TV is. But the new Mario Kart, they went online now. Now you're racing other people.
Yeah,
it has gone above and beyond. So I do understand Mario. The original story behind Mario, who does not know the story behind this, is very simple. The Mario was a game that was of Donkey Kong, if you guys remember. I can't remember the name of the game right now.
But Donkey Kong was the original. That was the first that came out, and I think that was like 80. 79, 80 Donkey Kong came
Eric,
out.
please help me in his chat, please. Which one was the first Mario and
Say
Donkey
again?
Kong game, please, and the year if you can, because he's my encyclopedia over here.
Mhm.
They took that and they did a spin-off. Mario was the first spin-off. The original was called Plumber Man. I remember that, and pretty much was the base of the story was the plumber went to rescue the princess after ape. They got sued actually originally because they looked like too much like on King Kong. They end up winning the lawsuit, I believe, if I remember correctly, and that's how Mario got evolutionized.
Mhm.
Then a few years later, when they revisited it after Super Nintendo came out for Donkey Kong, Donkey Country, I think it's called, or Donkey Kong, some shit like that. I can't remember the name of
Mhm.
it. And that blew people's minds up too. There were very basic games. They were not like these games now that you have to put like one of what's the name is called Assassin's Creed Valhalla, for example. You have to put
Mhm.
over 80 hours in that game.
Mhm.
80 hours just for the storyline. Imagine
Which
the
is
side
yeah,
shit to do.
which
That's
is
way
another reason why I stopped playing
Yeah.
because
Not all game, Paul.
yeah,
But not all games are like that.
I
Keep that
got
in
you.
mind.
But
That's an open world.
a lot of the games that started to come out when you start to have more of the adventure games, like when Wolfenstein 3D, you can finish in a few weeks. But when Doom came out and those third shooter games started to come out, where it was just again hours of play. We played hours also, but it was simply the same game over and over again. You know what I mean? Like it was like the same kind.
Okay.
You stop playing when you stop playing, but storylines, because again, because of CPU, because of memory, you can build these games that can go on for hours, if not weeks, days, months, until you master it or get to the last stage or whatever. So I think the technology allowed you to have this unlimited gameplay. But again, back in my day, it was basically the only thing they can do is they may give you another level. It would just be faster than the first level. You know what I mean? It would just like repeat, or they maybe throw a little character in there, but it's essentially the same thing. In fact, once you figured it out, you can go on forever because you
Okay.
figured out the pattern of how the gameplay worked or whatever. I know if I moved here, the characters are going to move there, and I get around them and I finish them off or whatever. Like
They
once you
still have
got
a lot of games like that. So
yeah,
I'm gonna give you two examples. Before I give my example, I looked it up as you were talking. So the first game that Mario and Donkey Kong were it was 1981. It
yeah,
called Jumper Man originally, and
mhm,
and a in the states it was called Donkey Kong.
right,
So later on, the first appearance for Mario title it was 1983, called in Japan Mario, and in the states it was called Mario Brothers.
mhm,
Then later on in '85, it showed us Super Mario Brothers and so on and so on.
right.
We have
Now,
both here.
what you're saying about how long the games are, I'm gonna give you one of the more newer games. One of my games because it's kind of off my culture a little bit.
Mhm,
Is God of War. God of War Ragnarok, the newer one. I'm gonna go with the
mhm,
most newest one out there
mhm,
to beat the full storyline. All right, the main storyline. All
mhm,
right, with power ups and leveling your guy up, not the side missions. You're looking
mhm,
at 25 to 30 hours maximum. That's not
right,
bad,
right.
and you can
Well,
save it. And
also now keep in mind, also again, going back to my ancient times, there was no save.
that's all. Wait, no. Actually, you're wrong.
No, if you go back early enough, you didn't have like even with the original NES, you couldn't save.
And yes, but Super did.
They
Well, yeah,
did,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm saying it started then, but I'm saying, but the arcade games, like
Oh, don't get me
you would
started.
literally be if you were really good in the arcade. I remember this one guy, he actually got into the Guinness Book of World Records back in the day. If you guys don't remember what that was, but
I think you
Guinness
smart
Book of
ass.
World Records, the guy let the guy stay in the store because he was setting a Guinness Book of World Record for the highest score. I forget the game he was playing. You even had a news team, like a local news team came in and, did an interview. He's in the interview playing the game. The store manager lets him in because he's like, look, this is good publicity for me that I'm letting the kid play or what have you. But that's the thing. You either ran out of time or options or whatever, or you ran out of money and there was no save. So it's almost like it almost kind of feels like cheating that you can get off a game and pick up where you left off, or have an unlimited number of lives or whatever before the game ends, and you can just re-up and keep going. No, I mean, back then you really had to be good. Like really like Jedi kind of reflexes, the guys who really got good at games, because again, you just had to, again, it was all or nothing. And it didn't matter what stage you were on. If your guy got killed, it was it. You had the end credits came up, you put your 3 digit your initials up there, and you were the number one guy there. And then it became about who was going to be number one. So
And fights broke out for that
the
too.
next time you came in, if your name was number one, so if PTB was number one, I owned the neighborhood. I was the number one. I was the head guy. You have to beat my score, and I had bragging rights. I was the cock of the walk for that entire neighborhood, and nobody could tell me nothing at that particular time. If someone broke it, it's like, okay, now you got it. Now I got to try to beat you. So
I
again,
got a good one for you here now.
Yeah.
Okay. So another thing about Nintendo was really smart about a lot of things. They packaged the Game Boy with the most addictive game ever made.
what's that?
Tetris.
Oh yeah.
Wait. Nobody beat the game till 2023. That's when somebody broke the game finally. A
Broke it?
teenager
Wow.
called William Gibson, a teenager gamer known online as the Blue Scottish, because he was the first to beat the classic NSS Tetris in December 21st, 2023.
I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah, he reached a kill screen. He killed the game. And it came out to be, ready for this, Paul? It crashed. The game crashed on line 157. The speed was incredible. It literally
this
took
like
40 minutes to play that game.
Yeah.
That's how fast he was moving.
Yeah, you gotta have
there was no
Jedi
computer.
Jedi reflexes. Yeah,
It was no computer. It was literally the O's literally on a Game Boy.
wow.
Not a computer, not a emulator, an old school Game Boy.
Yeah,
Oh,
Nintendo
remember
was
mine,
smart how
yeah.
they packaged their deals. Let's be honest.
yeah.
And PlayStation, when they launched their systems, they never launched a handheld. Never have, never will. They just finally launched one now recently, but it's shitty. I'll be honest with you.
So what do you think? So all right, so as I asked you about the IP for Nintendo, what do you think? Why do you think PlayStation has been able to last as long as it has? Like, what did they do that was so? And are they the number one selling console, or Switch is? I think Switch is number one.
I gotta look it up. I'm not sure to be
Right.
honest with you.
But again, they've been around with all the iterations for a lot of years. Why do you think they've been able to maintain and hang on to the number one spot or near the top for all these years? Go ahead, Craig, if you think you have an answer.
Yeah, no, I
You
was
go
asking
first.
to
I want to
repeat
look
that.
this up really fast.
I was asking if you could repeat that first question you asked.
So again, what do you think is the success of Sony PlayStation? Because again, Sony wasn't like in the 80s, Sony was not a player. Sony in the 80s was known for their TVs, for their
Stereo
Walkman,
system.
stereo systems, exactly. So they were high quality electronics. The fact that they got into the gaming market kind of came out of nowhere because, again, they weren't known for that. You had Atari, you
All
had
right, time out a
ColecoVision,
second,
you
Paul,
had
I'm sorry.
Mattel. Yeah.
So, as my search did, in 2025, I'm going off 25 because we're still too young into
Sure.
26. The PlayStation 5 is the number one top selling console of the year. Follow-ups with a with a Nintendo Switch 2.
Got it. Okay. So I'm asking the question then, why, what went into, or has anybody ever looked into, in fact, I may even do this myself afterwards, because I know they're coming out with all these videos now about, histories of successful companies or games or whatever. Sony get into the game. They had obviously a reputation for good quality products. I mean, expensive. Like Sony
It's not just
was
that.
always expensive. But
Sony wouldn't screw you over. Xbox have by paying for premium online crap.
yeah, they got
So
greedy. It was like a ship without a rudder. They got greedy. Then the guy came in and says, "Oh, we're getting away from gaming, and it's going to be more entertaining." It was all over.
You've
I'll give
got,
you my
the fact of the bragging rights or whatever it writes to the games, on PlayStation. You can literally do whatever you like with PlayStation now. But with Xbox, Nintendo, you do anything with it, you can get sued for it.
So he's right in a certain way. 100%. I'm not backing out. I'm going to add to it. So with Nintendo, if you ever hack the system somehow, they'll find out and brick your system, meaning it's literally a brick. You can't use it, and people have tried.
Mhm.
So with PlayStation, there's a multiple reason why PlayStation stays good. PS1 was CD player, PS2 DVD, PS3 was online streaming, Netflix, and all this stuff. That
Blu-ray.
I'm sorry,
PS3 was
Blu-ray.
Blu-ray.
Blu-ray, thank you, Blu-ray. PS4 was streaming. Not only that, the CEO of America, PlayStation, Sony PlayStation, made one big announcement in E3. E3 is not around anymore, but you remember E3, right, Paul?
No.
E3 was a electronic gaming expo.
Okay.
Okay, then he made one announcement. Xbox said, if you're gonna, let's say I give you my game to borrow, you have to pay for the code. Okay, that's a problem now because now I'm borrowing the game, but I'm still paying for it in a way. But PlayStation came out and made a comment. He said, Xbox was first that year. Later on that night was PlayStation. And they said, we approve of used gamings and borrowed gamings. Now, I'm not power coding. So the crowd erupted. It looked like a bomb went off on place.
Mm.
Xbox the next day, Microsoft came out and made a public announcement. We are actually we got the feedback. We understand you guys are unhappy, so we're going to take that feature away so you can use gamings and borrow games from your friends, stuff like that. We apologize for that.
Mhm.
That hurt.
They got
bad.
They got really greedy.
They got burned. That burned them so bad, and they lost a lot of people
Mhm.
and never got them back.
Right, and mind you, like I said, they were actually getting away from games. Like whoever the guy was, he's like this infamous guy from Xbox who's like lives in infamy now, who thought that the future of these consoles would be, again, online entertainment, movies, TV, that sort of thing. So he wanted to almost kind of make it like a streaming platform, not a gaming platform. So there was no investment into the future of gaming. It's really
funny you said that.
Yeah.
So when Xbox 360 came out, all right, it was supposed to be the ultimate gaming entertainment system. Streaming, we had the Connect, the camera, you can be motion sensor with no controllers, all this stuff. All right. And when Xbox One came out, it looked like a cable box. I made fun of everybody who bought one.
That's not true. It was PlayStation 2.
Xbox came out first, but PlayStation came out with a PS Move, was cameras and so it was completely two different things. They were competing against each other at the time.
Okay, sorry, my mistake.
No, you're good, dude. We're all equal ground field. Nobody knows more than another. We're just having it's the uppers hangout. We're hanging out and we're bullshitting about. It's something that we're all passionate about.
But I would also think that the one thing I do remember about PlayStation, though, like I said, when sports games really got going good, right? When the graphics and everything really started, they really took advantage of that. Like they felt like EA Sports and Sony PlayStation, like a lot of those, So again, it was more for the sporting game market, as you said earlier, the adoption of technology like the CD, DVD, and then the Blu-ray. And then the sharing, it just seems like they've made a few some good partnerships early on where, again, if you wanted the best sporting games, they were always going to be on PlayStation platforms, even though other versions were being sold. As I said earlier, the gameplay on those other platforms wasn't necessarily always equal amongst the platforms back then because, again, of the resources that you put into the game. Now, again, the difference between a CD, what a CD could hold in terms of data wise versus what a cartridge can hold. A CD, clearly you knew what you were dealing with. DVD, even more so. A Blu-ray, even more so. So again, they had more bandwidth with which to create these games and these environments that really drew in, I guess, the serious gamer. And like I said, I think where Nintendo, they stayed the course in terms of their IPs. Like they built a whole realm around the Mario Brothers properties and that whole platform for the kids. and so they didn't. It's like Nintendo did well back then because they didn't compete head to head against Sony PlayStation, going after the
Right,
same
you're 100
market.
percent right. I'm not disagreeing. I'm going to tell you one thing about Nintendo. So that it didn't do on PlayStation. I think it came out later on, if I remember correctly. But PlayStation, Nintendo came out with a game called Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, Pro
Mhm.
Skater 1 and 2, and so on. Right?
Mhm.
It was the biggest rad coming out at the time. Like everybody wanted to play Tony Hawk. You guys didn't play in
So
UK
crazy.
over here was big. It
Oh,
was
no. A lot of people played it here. I personally hated the game. I don't do sports.
Oh, okay, that's a different story. And it was literally people were just buying. It came out for originally for the 64, then it came out for Dreamcast. Towards the end of the lifespan of the Dreamcast, then Xbox got it, and I think towards the end, PlayStation also tried to pick it up. But my point is trying to get to is sports games again, right? I'll give you one even better. The only PlayStation had that made PlayStation beyond one of the best systems out there for this one reason. SSX is one of the best snowing games ever. It's not like a normal snowboarding game, bro. It's you're doing tricks that are nearly impossible in real life. Like you're taking the board, you're flipping upside down, you're doing somersaults, you're like Hulk kicking it, whatever. And it was fun. It was supposed to be racing with tricks, and it worked. The formula worked. Unfortunately, when they tried to continue it didn't really work after the second one. It kind of died off the trend, and that's where you want to put it to the rest at some point. They tried to bring it back, but it didn't work. But again, the gaming Nintendo always stayed to the course. Kids, PlayStation tried to take the crowd from Nintendo and go to the adults. Eventually everybody's gonna grow up. Let's be honest here, bro. You know what I'm saying?
PlayStation tried to go family, not just kids.
Now they did, but at first they were all kids. I remember that.
Okay.
When it first came out, it wasn't more for adults. Like you had the Jersey Devil game, for example. That was nothing for kids. You have another game called The Bouncer that you're beating up people. I'll give you an even better one. PlayStation was the first one. I believe it was GTA. One was on PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry?
I remember the original GTA.
Yeah, GTA was originally for PC
PS1.
and PS1. So let me ask you a question, Paul. You're a big family person. Would you like your kids playing a game called Grand Theft Auto that is mostly about everything you're against?
I did.
Well, my girls, they wouldn't have an interest in that. Like I said, I think the Nintendo
Let's
with
say
the
you did.
dance games
You
and
have boys,
whatnot.
for example.
Or if I had boys, again, it's up to a certain age. I mean, they're teenagers, sure. I mean,
Back in the 90s,
I'm
it
not
was
a prude when
I'll
it
put it
comes
this way,
to
bro.
yeah.
This game was so violent. When the second one came out, a buddy of mine wanted to get it. His mom worked 2 different shifts. She was a single parent or whatever.
Do you
So
remember? Sorry, Pete. Do you remember Grand Theft Auto when they did a dodgy side of it, where you load up Grand Theft Auto and then load up another disc, take out the original one, put another disc in called Grand Theft Auto London in the '60s.
I don't remember that.
Brilliant that was. It really
Yeah.
was.
Question: when did the game ratings come out? Do you know? Like info
I don't know.
mature?
I actually don't know. To be honest.
Okay.
I think it was the 90s, if I'm not mistaken.
And who started that? Was that something? Well, I could probably look that up. But if you
Yeah,
guys,
United States government, I believe.
no, I'm saying, but as far as like who started, like which console started being known for having like mature games, either for violence or sex or whatever. I think that might have been PlayStation also to allow that kind of
Maybe. I'm actually looking up right now. So let me get back to what I was originally saying. When Grand Theft Auto 2 came out, it was a big hype about that game. Everybody wanted to get it. So a lot of people in my group couldn't get it because they were not 18 and over. And for mature, it was rated. So my mom didn't know any better. She didn't know about ratings. She didn't understand that stuff. She didn't know what a gaming was. She only cared I was having it. I was not breaking any laws. I'm not getting myself in trouble. I'm just playing games. I was never a GTA fan,
Mhm.
but my friend was, and my friend asked my mom, "Can you come inside so I can buy this game because I need an adult?" Because yeah, sure. Well, if she actually knew what she actually approved, she would probably strangle me today.
Mm.
Yeah, like I said, I know you're not approved, but I don't think kids at that age, at 15, 16, even 17, should be playing that game, personally.
Right. Well, like I said, I don't know when. I just remember ads saying, "Well, rated M for mature." I don't know when exactly that came out or when games, because I know there was an uproar when Mortal Kombat came out, the arcade game. That was big because obviously you got guys pulling the whole skeleton out of the head and the neck and everything. And I know there were some parents that were a little bit of an uproar over that,
They
the
came in
violence
like
of the
Nazis,
Mortal
didn't they?
Kombat arcade game. But I don't know when they started putting ratings on games and where things had to be. Because again, in my time, you didn't have a lot
Okay,
of.
I just let's looked it up. So it came in September in 1994 was the first rating.
Okay, so
The
that's
first
pretty.
one
So
was
that's yeah,
K, A, T, and M.
right. Right,
Um,
so I don't know what Doom was at the time, but again, there was some
Doom
of the
was M.
games, I know they got very graphic in terms of, when you blew up somebody, guts and stuff coming out and things of that nature. I know there were some concerned parents about violence in video games. I do remember the news stories about that and protesters but the whole country was kind of getting there. I mean, the music, they wanted ratings on CDs, that music CDs that you bought, parental advisor. That was during the Clinton administration, I believe. And I think Al Gore's wife was really sort of spearheading that effort back then. But yeah, I mean, there was definitely concerns even back then about the violence, not necessarily the sexuality, because I don't think that was necessarily something that was so blatant until now. In the PC
That didn't
market,
come
you could
into
buy anything you
PS2.
wanted. There were like literally pornographic games that you could buy in the PC world that people played and used and whatnot. But as far as sold commercially, no, it might have been until GTA came out where you start to maybe get more sexualized games or that kind of
They didn't start getting sexualized until PS2 on GTA.
yeah, 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 brutal games. And we used to play this game, but again, it was for violence, yes. But I'm
So
talking
it
about
doesn't
the
give me
sexuality
name.
in the
It
games. I
doesn't
don't
give me
think
name who
that.
started the ratings idea with the ratings and who actually passed the law and none of that. It doesn't say that. But I do remember in mid '90s, early 2000s, ratings was everywhere. When a commercial came out, rated M for mature,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
show you a clip, a trailer, and that's it. It wasn't it was like it wasn't great, but they really hit rated T for teens or rated M for mature. They were really hitting hard on that at the time. I
right,
do remember that. Um, most games, some of the ratings were overrated. I think like
right,
some M's weren't M's.
right.
There were more T.
But are they selling more? Because like I said, you had a lot of adult games that you could buy or get on the PC. Have you guys seen a growth of more mature games that are sold
Absolutely.
commercially?
Yes.
Okay.
I seen an evolution of the games in big time. Like Call of Duty, for great example. The biggest one that was very consumable at the time was I'm sorry, Modern Warfare 2. No Russian, it was the mission called. The reason was so itchy, or not itchy, what the word I'm looking for? Very sensitive topic at the time was right after 9/11. The mission was you were a CIA spy with this Russian a Russian terrorist group. That wasn't the problem. The problem is you're shooting up an airport. You're literally killing civilians.
Mhm.
And towards the end of the mission, they knew you were a spy. They execute you there point blank.
Mhm.
So what um Microsoft, not Microsoft, I'm sorry, Activision did, they give you an option at the game saying, "Hey, by the way, we know this might be a little graphic for some audience and some people. you have the option of skipping this mission. The storyline's not going to change. They're going to talk about it, but you're not going to play no Russian. To me, that was a ballsy move. Now that I'm an adult in my 40s, I would, if I was back then, we're like, wow, this is cool. I didn't connect the dots. Now I'm older, like, okay, maybe this is a little too much for kids.
Like I said, the violence, like I said, I get that piece.
Yeah.
But like I said, but as far as the sexualization, really, GTA is the only one that I know of that had.
I'll give you a better example.
That was added to it.
The original three God of War games, based in ancient Greece, all right, and they were a part of that game. So it was God of 1 and 2. Don't remember God of 3. The first one is he's sailing on a boat going from one island to Athens, and he has two prostitutes in there. So you don't see them actually acting on it. You hear them moaning. You have to hit X harder and faster and faster and faster. You get the idea. Once you're done, you get these orbs and you collect them. That's one. 2, in God of War 2, he meets the god of love. And she goes, oh, I don't think you're able to satisfy me. And she's wearing all this sexual lingerie, sexual clothing. And he goes, oh, yeah, fuck you. Then you're doing the same thing. You're hitting XX. You have to press a signal. You have to make sure you hit it. If you fail, it says, "Oh, I thought you were a real man. You can't satisfy me." But when you do actually get the whole sequence in down, X square, whatever it was calling for you, because it will show you the symbols on the screen. He goes, "Wow, you really did your job as a man," and you get all these orbs and you level up. Think what I'm telling you right now, a minute here, Paul.
Oh,
I got you. Yeah.
But with Nintendo, they never did that. They kept their course. Very basic games that keep growing and growing and growing. They didn't have to go sexuality, violence. They kept it basic. You know the old saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it?
Can I?
Yeah, go for it, dude. So you're...
Nintendo did not make it, but they didn't endorse it, but they still let them sell the game as a Nintendo game. Conker's Bad Fur Day. It's disgusting. Pardon?
I don't remember that one.
On the Nintendo 64, there was a game called Conker's Bad Fur Day, and they brought it back in Xbox One. They did a remake of it, done it, updated it. Basically the same game, but they just repainted it, so it looks a little bit more modern. But you've got this fly that says, "Oh, I want to go down and do my job and stuff like that," in the hole of poo, right? And you got to go down and fight the poo monster, and literally throw toilet roll in his mouth, and he's literally fucking throwing sweet corn and throwing shit at you, literally, and he's singing to you. Do you know what I mean? You're not seeing it. Look it up. Seriously, Conker's Bad Fur Day poo section.
You see, that is surprising to hear that, because PlayStation, Nintendo is not known for that kind of gaming. You know what I'm saying? They keep it very basic.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you guys, I guess, as we start to land the plane here a little bit, your thoughts on the future of gaming, especially with AI. Because you see, every day you see in these AI videos of very lifelike characters, actors, or whatnot. So do you think that the future of gaming is going to include a lot more of these AI images and graphics that you can control? So just like, they can look like us and they go around doing whatever the game calls for or what have you. Is that where you think AI is taking? Is that going to have a major impact on gaming in the future, or at least having more lifelike, not even characters that look like cartoon characters? Where I'm talking about, like, where the characters actually look like flesh and blood individuals, and you're in this sort of game, this kind of game space. Where do you see this going
Personally,
in the
right
next few
now,
years.
I don't think that's our problem right now. AI. Gaming has actually hit a very downward spiral right now with games because gamings are not making the money that like they're putting AAA games. They're not putting like a couple hundred, a couple thousand into the game. They're putting millions in dollars in one game.
Sure.
And the problem with most of these games are they are not up to par. They're glitchy. They have bugs in them. There are problems in them. Great example, Cyberpunk. That game was so buggy when it was launched. It was
Definitely
unplayable.
played it. It's definitely glitchy as hell.
Now it's fixed finally.
No, it's still a few glitches.
Is it so
in it,
glitches?
but
I play only like a couple hours into it, and I didn't enjoy the game personally. I didn't like it.
I
But
completed it twice over. You got two different endings, but it's a
yeah,
bloody good game.
I
It is.
personally didn't like it. But I'm sorry. I think right now, and other YouTubers like Retro Gamer, for example, has done a story on this, thinking we might be looking at another gaming crash coming soon. And we did a story on this on our channel. I think last year was it or a year before. Um, and I think we are coming to a crash because they're repeating the formula over and over and over, but it's not fixing the problem. It's keep going down. So Call of Duty is a great example. Call of Duty is a great IP, but people are complaining it's not up to par. That's why the PS2 and PS3 is the golden era of Call of Duty. We're not there anymore. Greg, you got a floor, dude. Of course you
You
will.
carry on. You carry on.
No, go ahead. Your turn.
Well, as I said, the only one that I think was the best game out there was an old one from the 90s, early 2000s, Conker's Bad Fur Day. The guy in the chat, whatever his name is, he knows what I'm on about. It was just such a good game. It's now worth about £200-300 in the UK. Nintendo did not endorse the game. They did not put their logo on it. They did not allow any of that. But they still allowed the person to sell it, even though it's for the high-rated people. You had a thing. What was it called? A little mission on it. You got this daisy flower, yeah, the flower with the white petals, whatever you want to call it, daisy. Right, it's got this great big, humongous knockers, right, and this fly wants to satisfy the plant. Yeah, I'm not lying. You had to do a little mission so that the fly could go and satisfy the plant. I'm not kidding you. It was messed up, but it was good.
That's the things we're talking about. Like, let me ask you a question, Greg, and you too, Paul. From what we're talking about, from what you know, Greg, do you think we're looking into another gaming crash coming soon?
Yes,
Paul?
because a lot of games are actually coming out.
I'm not sure.
actually
Well,
like
again, the crash of '82, which again I lived through, that was due to, again, there were too many gaming consoles. You might have had like a dozen consoles out with a lot of crappy games that where parents were saying, why we're spending this money on buying games. Again, games were $30-40 back then. So why we're going to play for these games that are low quality, not even close to arcade quality? Why we're going to pay for that? And there's just too many options. So I think that's why Nintendo NES, I still think, is probably the greatest platform ever. Throw specs out the window and all that, or the Famicom as it was known in Japan. It's the most important gaming console probably ever because it helped to really resurrect the gaming industry. Where from 82 to early 84, that really brought gaming back, home gaming back in a way that was, without it there'd be nothing else. I'm real big on first, and I'm also big on content. It may not have sold as many consoles as the PS2 or whatever console you want to bring up, or even the Wii or whatever, but the NES is the most important console ever created. Now, like I said, because the market now essentially has 3 players in it, right? I don't see it crashing anytime soon because, again, as far as competition, it may be any one of these you choose. You're going to be satisfied more times than not. You said CQ, he's a big fan of Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you and
Thank
Craig
you.
are PS2 fans or what have you, but you're gonna find something that's gonna fit most of your needs. And again, these games they're gonna come out with better graphics and stuff over time. Um, I think will save it from a crash is again if the companies don't get greedy with either the membership fees or for the arcades or for the the right to download games or whatnot. If they don't get greedy there, I can't see it crashing. At least, like I said, not in the same way as it was before. It's not so much about an oversupply of inferior product. You have a great product right now. That like I said, pick a console. I think I may see more merger more so than a crash at some point. Because again, it's like, and the technology itself, the CPU chips, the technology is such where you're not going to see a difference. So again, take me 5 years from now. Why would I? What would it matter? What console that I bought? I don't know if it's going to matter a whole.
So here's the thing with the Game Pass. The Game Pass is $20.99 for Xbox and $17.99 a month for PlayStation. You can do the yearly. I think the yearly for PlayStation is don't have it right here. So they're great programs. All right, because you're not dropping on them. But here's the problem with some of them. The Gaming Pass, not all of them have day one exclusives like Call of Duty. Game Pass has Call of Duty, but not PlayStation doesn't, for example. So there's some good games on there, and there's some shitty games. There's like, I think is every 10 games, only one is worth playing. So it's not even worth having it, in my opinion. So now we're in a studio war right now. What I mean by that is PlayStation and Xbox are buying all these studios. Nintendo's chilling in the back, arms relaxed, like I am right now. So
Yeah.
like, you guys fight over the shit. We don't give a shit. You guys fight over the studios, but you guys have to pay us to put the game on our system, no matter what, sooner or later. Like PlayStation, Activision, aka Microsoft, who owns Xbox, announced Call of Duty is finally going back to Nintendo. But who knows what kind of deal they had to break to do that? Because it's like same thing with iPhone, for example. Anytime you put anything on their platform, you have to pay a royalty fee. Imagine what kind of royalty fee they had to pay for that.
Mhm.
So saying that, we're in this studio war, and this studio war is never good. When you're buying up all these studios, you're eliminating the competition. When you eliminate competition, shitty products, and that's where I think the crash is going to happen.
Gotcha.
Um,
Well, like I said, again, if the quality goes down, yeah, you're gonna get to a crash because that's what brought on the first one. People weren't willing to pay. But again, what is your option? Back then, you still had. That's why the arcades and the arcade games were so important because the home consoles they still had to catch up to them.
Mhm.
And so that wasn't going anywhere for a long time until the quality got to the point where you start to see the arcade start to go down by the mid I wouldn't even say not even mid by the late 80s, early 90s, because you still had them. When I was at Rutgers, you went to the student center. They had rows of video games, including the Dance Dance Revolution game in the early 90s when it came out. So again, you always had a level quality that all these other gaming consoles were looking to catch up to. Now I think they've gotten it, and obviously the standing arcades have gone away. But again, if the quality, even if the quality goes down, again, what is your option? Are the phone gaming manufacturer are they going to take up who's going to take up the slack if there is a crash? Is it going to be your phone games? Is it going to be PC games? We don't know what's the next vice. Back then you had a vice to fill in the role. That was the arcades. I don't know what's going to replace video gaming if there's a crash and if all the three of the major console manufacturers if they suffer because of it, where are you going to go?
So the thing we also have to keep in mind, a couple of things. Nintendo, Greg, you go after I'm done with this. Nintendo has survived every major obstacle come their way. The crash is a great example. They always stand on top no matter what. All right. If we do have a crash, I think.
What crash?
I'm sorry.
What crash?
82.
They weren't around.
Yes, they were. They were.
Well, they were
Hang on. They were a video
arcade.
game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, arcade games. Yes.
Yes.
But it said nothing happened to the arcade game. That's what I'm
I
saying.
understand that.
It was the
But-
home. It was the home video game market that crashed. The arcade market was fine.
And I understand that. I'm not arguing that. What I'm
Right.
arguing is, as Nintendo saw opportunity back then in getting into the home systems, I think they're going to find another opportunity to continue surviving again. They always find a way to survive.
Well,
Talk
again, but
about
they were never in trouble. This is, when you say, I guess I'm having difficult when you say survive. That would mean they were there and they hit a problem. They didn't have a problem. They actually found a solution to a problem that
Okay,
they
I'll take
didn't
that.
create. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that's messing with me when you say they survived. No, they were thriving. They were good. They had the top arcade games out with the Donkey Kong properties and whatnot. They were fine. They saw an opportunity and they came up with the Famicom, which then was ported over to the NES. And that's what made it, so they came at the right time. They let the field kind of clear, and then they kind of moved in and they were able to, take advantage of it.
So I want to find Greg, go ahead really fast. I'm looking at something really fast.
My last question of the night, because I know we got a few minutes left. Did any of these platforms? I'm sorry, what's that, Greg?
You go first.
Were any of these platforms? Because I know it seemed like to be a thing for a while, but it seemed like it might be dying out. Correct me if I'm wrong. The 3D gaming, where you put the goggles on and you
VR.
have the experiences, that seemed to
Still a
be a
big
thing 5 years ago. But I don't know if it's still there. Do these gaming platforms support those type of games, or those are independent of themselves? Because I know the Wii, they had where you could put those goggles on and it work with the Wii. I don't know if these other gaming platforms are they really taking at that, because that was supposed to be the next revolution in gaming, where you would have this 3D experience, almost like you're in the holodeck of the Enterprise or something like that. But I don't know if it
Called VR.
Yeah.
So VR, Greg, you go first. You got a statement for finish down. I'll answer Paul's question after that. Go ahead.
Right. I personally think all of the consoles are going to die out, and it's all just going to be PC. Personally, yes, they're mini PCs themselves, but if you think about it, what's cheaper to have permanently in your home and upgradable constantly than a console? If a part in your console dies, your console's dead. Your PC, you can physically replace that part. Yeah? So personally, I think everyone's going to go PC, because you can upgrade your graphics as much as you like. You get the newest graphics card, put it straight in your computer. Your RAM, your processor, you can upgrade it constantly. VR on it is getting a lot better. Literally, all the games you can get on consoles, like the very first PlayStation games, you can get them on PC. You can get all your retro games from arcade games on your PC, can't you? You can emulate them on your PC. I'm done.
So he's 100% right on that. PC gaming kind of died off for a while, but it came back with vengeance.
Mhm.
I remember in the early 2000s, a lot of people were like, you were a console person or a PC person. And there was always an argument. PC died off. In the last, say, 4 or 5 years, they came back with vengeance. Now, these systems, the PCs, they're going for like a couple grand. Like the cheapest one, you can get like between 3 to 5 grand. But he's right.
Grand.
You can update them. And like the Steam Deck, there's one thing about a Steam Deck is so nice, is a mini PC in your hands.
Mhm.
And now they're coming out. That's another guy who's coming into the game soon, is the Steam Deck. They're making
That's already out. It's been out for 2 years.
What is?
Steam Deck. It's been out for about 2 years.
No, but they're making a console version now for the TV.
They tried that many years ago. It didn't work very much.
Well, they're kind of doing it again. I didn't know
You've
about
got the
it.
NVIDIA
I know
Guild,
that.
haven't you? Right,
Yeah.
which didn't go very well.
Yeah, but back to the VR thing. Okay, so the number one VR is MetaQuest, is the number one VR system out there. PlayStation has a VR one. It doesn't have good games. That's the issue. It does not have good games for it. That's why people don't like it. Xbox is teaming up with MetaQuest to put the VR system on their Xbox. I think it's called MetaQuest Xbox VR, some shit like that. I'm not sure, but it's specifically made for the Xbox.
Mhm.
So King is going to start screaming at the keyboard in a minute. Like, I'm not a fan of Xbox. I never have been. I think Xbox, it's just a big cable box. It looks like to me. I think you get a lot more bang of your money out of PlayStation and Nintendo versus an Xbox.
You
My
get a little
personal
bit more
opinion, of
power.
course. I'm sorry.
You get a little bit more power out of the
Yeah,
PlayStation.
and here's the funny part about Xbox versus PlayStation and Nintendo really fast. Now, two games that were very exclusive to Xbox are coming to PS5. Halo and Gears of War. That takes the big trump card away. They don't have a lot of exclusives. That's my personal opinion again. Paul, do you have any other things you want to ask before we move on to final thoughts?
No, I'm good. I'm good. This has been informational for me. Thanks.
Another time. Like, that's what you're here for. Let me get this label up here. Do I have it here? All right, let's get into our final thoughts. Greg, you want to go first? Paul, you want to go second?
Actually, let me go for it. 'Cause I have the least to say.
All right, go ahead.
Like I said,
I have least to say.
yeah, but this has been certainly very informational. That again, you've had these companies very different strategies, but they've both been able to survive all of the iterations and other competitors that these guys are still are still there because they for the most part they stayed with their core audience. They've developed a fan bases that they've been relatively loyal to. They haven't tried to pull the rug out from under them like Xbox tried to do, and they've been able to, again, you play to your strengths, and that's to be a lesson for any business. I've been watching a lot of videos as of late of like companies, like prestige brand companies that were like big things back in the day, like Under Armour or a Peloton, all these properties that are now in trouble because they got away from their core business and what they what made them great. They tried to expand too much or do too much, and these companies for these gaming consoles, they basically stayed the course for the most part. They didn't neglect their fan bases, and they're still here today. So I think there's a lot of business lessons from the strategies that these employed, and that also proves that there's more than one way to skin a cat when it comes to how to be successful in business. So kudos to both companies for their longevity, and I hope there's not a crash in the future. But for especially these days, for companies to be this relevant for 20, 30, 40 years is that's pretty impressive.
Well, I don't know what to say. I still think the original consoles were the best. Newer ones, they're still great, but I prefer the original ones. PC, much better. I'm done. Sorry. That's it, Paul. Pete.
All right, so really fast, because I have actually something to say. So a couple of things we didn't go over is pricing of the games. Because the price of the games are getting ridiculous. Nintendo, for the first year, was most affordable system till now. They're actually charging $80 for games. You complain about $30, Paul? Imagine $80 you have to play for games.
Well, $30 in 1980s money though, so yeah, count for inflation. So
yeah, but my point is trying to get to it. Games have gotten extremely expensive now these days. So not only that, we talk about software, we're talking about different gaming, we're talking about a bunch of different things about between Nintendo and PlayStation, and we threw Xbox a little bit in a loop too. And we're going to do this show soon, PlayStation versus Xbox, very soon, and that's going to be a good one, I think. But it's just, I think a crash is coming, and I feel bad because every time I turn on any gaming news, I hear all these developer companies laying off thousands of people, or a major developer is leaving that company because he's tired of the bullshit he's dealing with. He's going somewhere else or open his own company. The corporate world of gaming has evolved so much. There are options for people to go to. But when they're closing stores right and left, I mean, some companies, you don't have options. End of the day, these people have families to feed. They have to put a roof over their heads. It might be a job. To us, it sounds the coolest job ever, but they do have families to support. But really fast, I want to go over the schedule update because I think this was actually a really fun show overall. I can't wait to do
Brilliant.
PlayStation versus Xbox. I think that's going to be a really cool one. I'm going to try to get on here King and CQ to see how they because they're my Xbox nerds, and I don't know why. That's my opinion, but it's a different story. We are having a gray area tomorrow. Paul, do you remember the topic for gray area tomorrow?
Trying to find it real quick. Oh, it should be honoring culture without losing yourself.
All right, so that'll be gray area. Monday we're off. We'll be back.
Hang on, I'm sorry. It's actually, I'm sorry. Progressive ideas versus cultural values,
All right,
which
cool.
is kind of similar, but yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
So on Monday, actually Tuesday, we're talking about a woman does not need a job to raise her children. I'm hoping at least she'll be feeling great because I talked to her the other day. She wasn't feeling great because of her treatments, but I think at least she'll be a good part of that conversation. I'm going to see whoever else I can get on. On Wednesday, I'm not sure Sean's going to have a show at this point because he hasn't got back to me, so he might skip another week. Thursday, you guys are back, right, Paul, this week?
I got to hear from Coach. Coach hasn't dropped me the content yet, so
Worst case scenario, we do a part 3 of karate. The worst case scenario. And a great. I'm still waiting for hear back from the guys for anime, but next week we are talking about Punisher versus Rambo. Excuse me, Rambo versus Punisher. So that should be a very interesting conversation, I think, because both are iconic characters, both are military iconic ones, and both of them went to ape shit to do what they need to do. So I think it's going to be a very good show. Except that final words, Paul, before we go.
I'm good.
Greg, you got anything else to say before we scooch out of here?
PC's the best.
Freaking dorks. See what I deal with here, guys. But as always, this was the Spartan Arena. I am the Spartan. He is the president with our prototype in his hand. We got our UK brother. As always, stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.